You can interact with me by typing in the chat, or I'm going to be asking lots of questions, and you can put your virtual hand up. So we were just practicing that earlier. If you click under participants, then there's a little at the bottom, you can see put my virtual hand up. And I see Tane is doing that right now. Great. So you can go ahead and practice that. The other thing that you can do is if you didn't have a chance to answer, but you still want to share something, you can go and pop it in the chat, write down your thoughts, and we can read those out quickly. Nice. I see a lot of you have your virtual hands up. If you're not sure how to do that, type in the chat. I'm not sure how to do that, and we can write that in there again. Or maybe Rebecca, if you want to type in the chat what it is that people can do. Nice. And Tani says lives near the Kwantlen area. Beautiful. The other thing that we're going to do to be able to interact all with each other is a Kahoot session. So who here has done Kahoot before? You can either type me in the chat, or you can put a big thumbs up reaction. So you see I've done a little thumbs up reaction. Yes, I've done that before. Ooh, few thumbs up there. See Rebecca and Reese have done this before. Nice. Miles and Elizabeth say that they've done it. M2. Great. So you all know how to use, a lot of you know how to use Kahoot. And if you don't, what you're going to do is you're going to need a second device or to open another window and go to kahoot.it. So www.kahoot.it. So I'll type that in the chat. And I'm going to open up here too. I'm going to share my screen so that you're going to see what it looks like. Alrighty. So that's my shared screen. And you, as it says, you go to kahoot.it. And when you get there, you're going to type in this game pin. Once you type in that game pin, it's going to ask you for your name. And I'd like you to please just put your a nickname in there, but something appropriate. Or it can be your first name if you're happy with that too. Whatever, but something appropriate, because otherwise I'm going to be moving out. So Molly C, that's a really great one to put there. And I'm just going to wait for all of you to get started. And while we're waiting for people to get started, does anyone want to share with us why they think the oceans are so polluted? Because that's what we are talking about today, ocean pollution. So you can raise your hand if you want to share why you think. I'm going to clear all raised hands so you can raise them again. Evan, go ahead and unmute yourself and share with us. Yeah, go ahead. I feel like we can't hear you very well. Are you talking, Evan? Oh, maybe that didn't work. Is it Tani? You can go ahead. You can unmute yourself, Tani. Are you able to? Yeah, go ahead.
I think the oceans are so polluted because some ships, they're killing the whales, and many people they may flush down non-flushable wipes or something, which will endanger turtles and
Yeah, no, those are some really great examples. Thank you for sharing. Is that your name? It's Tane? Am I pronouncing it correctly? Nice.
No.
Thanks for sharing.
No, you're not pronouncing it correctly.
How do I say it?
Tane.
Tane?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So Tane, just as you were saying, yeah, we were putting some trash down areas that maybe we're not supposed to, and also anything like anytime we're littering, then that is going and polluting our oceans in that sense. Evan, I see you put your hand back up again. Did you want to try again to unmute yourself and answer? Oh, no, hand down again. Jamie says that you can't do Kahoot, that you can't join. So I'm not sure how that works, But Jamie, if you're not able to join using Kahoot, or if anyone's not able to join using Kahoot, so you're just going to an internet browser here, maybe ask someone in your family for help. And if that's not working, then just type in the chat what your answer is for each of the questions. And then maybe people, if you are playing Kahoot, don't try not to look at the chat if people are giving their answers there. All right, so I'm gonna get started. Don't worry about the game pin. You are going to be able to see it again in just a second. And you know what? I will type it in the chat so that everyone has access to it. So it's 876-8752. So if you need to join at any point, like if you get kicked out for any reason, you can just come back on. All right, everyone, let's get started. So today we are learning all about ocean pollution. So it's not a very long session, just more of an introduction. But just to start off, I told you my name was Paloma. My background is I have a PhD in animal behavior. I studied kangaroos for, so PhD is something you do as a graduate studies after your undergraduate. And I really loved studying animals. So I went to Australia to study animals and learn all about how they form social bonds with each other. But something I really cared about is trying to reduce our impact on the planet. And I really wanted to go and educate people about how we can help protect our planets, because no matter how old we are, we all have a role to play. From being really young, we can influence what we do in our lives and what our families do too. And that's why I ended up joining a group here called SeaSmart. So SeaSmart is a charity that we're based in Vancouver, but we do work across Canada virtually. And we teach people about protecting our oceans. So we've just talked about why our oceans are polluted. And so who here has heard that our oceans are very polluted? So wave your hands up in the air, really loud, big, if you've heard they're very polluted. Oh yeah, lots of people with big wavy arms, yeah. Nice, yeah, so you know that this is a problem. Our oceans are super polluted. But why is this happening and what can we do about it? That's what we're gonna learn about here. So one thing that you might have seen before is a storm drain. So if you've ever gone out, think about when you go outside of your house and if there's a road nearby, there might be one of these things. They're on the roads to prevent flooding. So when it rains, all the water goes down the storm drain, and that's just bringing it. It's not going to a water treatment plant. It's just bringing it somewhere else into our local creek or watershed to be able to not so that this area doesn't flood. But who can explain to me, why do you need storm drains somewhere like a city on a road, but you don't need a storm drain in a forest? Batu, is that a hand up? I see Emily. How about Leslie Roberts? We'll go with your hand up. And for other people, you can put your virtual hand up when you want. Okay. Leslie Roberts, is that, you can unmute yourself and answer. Why do you need a storm drain on a road like this, but not in the forest? No, you don't want to answer anymore? All right, Batu, you have your hand up high. How about you go ahead?
Because there's lots of water, so they have to go in, so the whole roads don't have to flood it, and the cars, and you don't have to drive boats on the water.
Yeah. So a lot to do with the water and, like, you know, the water in the area there. But what else? Why might we need a storm drain? Is to prevent flooding in a city. So why does a city need a storm drain, but somewhere like a forest doesn't? And I see that Avin in the chat is it had wrote, because trees can suck up water. And then M says the plants can have water. So that's exactly it. Molly, did you want to elaborate on that? I see you have a very keen hand up.
Because the dirt sucks up water in the forest.
Thank you, Molly. So exactly, the dirt has the ability to soak up the water. The plants all around, the trees have roots They can suck up the water. But in the city, we don't have enough plants to do that. We don't have enough soil to do that. We have built these concrete jungles, and concrete cannot, as you can see, it doesn't absorb water. So we had to build these little holes where water is going to go and flow down here and end up somewhere else. And where is that place that they end up? So everyone grab your little Kahoot device if you have it on another device. You're going to have 4 options, and you're going to have to click on the option that you think is the correct one. So I gave 30 seconds for this next question, which is, where do storm drains lead to? Do they go directly to a waterway or the ocean, to a water holding facility, to a water treatment plant, or to the sewer system? And there's a little image revealed to show us a storm drain here, and it says something up here, if you can read that. Where does this storm drain go to? All right, so on your devices, 5 more seconds. If you're not sure, just pick one. Just get your answer in. Ooh, interesting. So the right answer, everyone, was directly to waterway or the ocean. But a lot of people thought that it went to a water treatment plant or the sewer system. And that's one of the things that many people think. They think that storm drains are going to a sewer, and then that water gets treated before it ends up in our rivers. And that's why in some places they've started adding this text here saying leads directly to fish habitat, because people used to go and they take chemicals from their homes. They take things like cooking oil, and they would go and put it down the storm drains because they're like, I don't want to gunk up my own pipes with this, but the storm drains here is safe to do that in. But anything that's going in here, that's just to prevent flooding. It's not going to get treated. It's going directly to where fish are. So any creek that's nearby or the river that's nearby, that's where the storm drain leads to. And that's why we should not pollute, not put anything down our storm drains. So maybe type in the chat right now, what are some things that you've seen on the ground that could end up going down our storm drains? Or what are some things that could end up going down our storm drains? Some things that might not be good to go down. Ooh, Jamie says trash. Tanae says plastic. Miles and Rebecca say oil. Yeah, oil from our cars too. Any exhaust fumes that kind of drip down. Plastic straws, exactly. Yeah, if you're drinking something and then you threw it in the trash, but then a bit of wind blew the straw out onto the street, then that straw, next time it rains, it's gonna flow down and go down the storm drain. Gasoline too, candy wrappers. Yes, I see so many candy wrappers on the ground when I'm walking around. And that's why I try to pick up trash when I go around, because I know if I don't, that they might end up in the storm drain. Ooh, used medical masks. Unfortunately, thanks Rebecca for sharing that, because that is unfortunately what a lot is happening now, is people dropping those masks. A lot of that is becoming pollution. Great, and cigarettes. Yeah, cigarettes and cigars, the end bit, the little filter, it's called the cigarette butt. That is the #1 item most collected in beach cleanups in Canada. And it's because people think that it's decomposable, that it's made of paper, but really it's made of plastic. And so that ends up in our oceans a lot too. Great, you can see this is our scoreboard here. You can see if you get it right, you get some points, and the faster you answer, the more points you get. But today is all about us learning. So long as you're learning something new, we all win. In this area here, so we learned about when we're in the city where there's homes and roads, we can get some litter, and we know that if even it goes down a storm drain, that's just going to end up in this river down here. But even when we live in farmland, there's things in our farmland that can contribute to water pollutants too. Are there any thoughts here? Any hands up of the type of pollutants that you can get around farmlands? Things that might be harmful to our waterways? Any thoughts on that? Tanya, is your hand up from earlier? Molly, is your hand up from earlier or now? Tanae, go ahead.
So it was actually going to comment about your job. So I'm very interested in animals, and I like to study the birds outside my home, and I try to find reptiles, and I've always loved coyotes
Nice, Tanae.
ever
That's
since
awesome.
my interest with animals.
Yeah, I'm love animals too. How about we save any questions not related to what we're learning about for the end of the session? I would love to talk more about things that you can study and do. But let's see if I don't answer them during my session, and if I don't, then you can ask them at the end. Does that sound good? And you can share with me a little bit more about what you love about animals. So I see in the chat, people talking about farmlands are mentioning fertilizer and pesticides, or even, yeah, in factories, there's a smoke you see up here. And those are things that can get into our waterways. So when it rains, fertilizer is really good for plants. It makes them grow. It gives them extra nutrients to be able to grow really well. But when you put too much of it on your farmland, then when it rains, that all the excess, all the extra goes into the water, but then the water has too many of these good nutrients. And you think, nutrients are good. That should make plants grow. But we know that in nature, if we do anything that we add to it, then things can go imbalanced. And then too many plants end up growing and they take up the whole area of the river, block out the light, and it actually makes other plants and animals die. And same with pesticides. That's a chemical that kills pests, kills insects. So if you're putting that in a river, insects in the river are good. And so if you don't want to be killing insects in that river there. Yeah. Oh, DDT, yeah, can wipe out many species of fish. Ooh, that's an advanced one. Thank you for sharing. Oh, and I realize I'm not spotlighted anymore. I will be there. Great. And when you look at all of this over here, anything in this area that you're putting into the system, you think, hey, it's just going into this local creek, local river, but where is it all ending up? At the bottom over here, at the end of all is the ocean. So the ocean, yeah, Jamie, the ocean. So the ocean is that last stop for all the water in all the lands. The ocean is the lowest point on Earth. So all the water is draining down to the ocean. And once it gets to the ocean, how does water escape? So when water's in the ocean, how does it escape and then go back to the land? So again, you can type it in the chat. How does that work? Or Emily, go ahead.
It evaporates into the air.
So evaporation, little droplets of water in air form, in gas form, goes up into the air, forms clouds. The clouds move back to the land, and it rains down there, and it starts a cycle of water flow again. But pollutants that end up in our ocean, can they evaporate up? Yes or no? Does plastic evaporate up into the air? No. So the ocean is the last stop, yeah, for all of the pollutants on our land. Yeah, Jamie says no, Em says no. And that's why our oceans are getting more and more polluted, because there's no way for that pollutant to exit the ocean unless humans go and remove it. All right, so I am going to share this. Can everyone give me a thumbs up to let me know that the sound, the volume is working well? Thumbs up? Great, all right.
I'm standing at the headwaters of a river here in Central America. There are hundreds of rivers like this all over the world. This water will travel almost 300 kilometers as it passes through towns, factories, farms, and several small cities before it reaches the Atlantic Ocean. Thousands of years ago, this river was simply a watercourse transporting inland rainfall to the sea, picking up a minimal amount of soil and minerals along the way. But now, since human settlement in the area, this river carries so much more: sewage and wastewater, litter, fertilizer, and a variety of other pollutants that not only affect the health of this river, but ultimately the health of the ocean and us. When this river passes through an agricultural area, it picks up excess fertilizer that's been applied to these crops and washed away by the rain. Much of the runoff ends up in the ocean, where it continues to act like fertilizer, stimulating algae growth. These harmful algal blooms, in turn, deplete the surrounding waters of oxygen, creating dead zones where entire marine ecosystems can die off. As the river passes through a developed area like this, it picks up wastewater and trash. Nearly all human activity creates wastewater, like sewage, storm runoff, discharge from power plants and factories, and more. If properly managed, wastewater can actually be an asset, but it also contains all those chemicals we put down our drains and toilets, including cosmetics and pharmaceuticals that can wreak havoc on the health of marine animals, disrupting their reproductive systems, causing birth defects, and more. And once those chemicals are in the food chain, they could ultimately affect our health. By the time the river's ended its long run to the ocean, it's picked up a toxic mix of chemicals and debris. One category of litter, plastics, is a particular problem. Every year, at least 8 million tons end up in the ocean, where it affects hundreds of different species through entanglement or ingestion. Once plastic gets into the waste stream, it breaks down into smaller pieces, which makes the problem worse. But it doesn't completely degrade, so unless we take immediate action, plastic is a problem that will continue to grow and affect future generations.
Alrighty, so that was learning a little bit more about how pollutants get into our waterways and the impact that that can have. So one of the biggest sources of pollution in our waters is plastic. And we know that because we've been hearing a lot of people saying, we need to reduce our plastic because our oceans are filled with it. And this picture here shows us just how much plastic pollution is entering our ocean from different areas around the world. So the bigger the blue dot, the more plastic is entering our oceans from those areas. So where in this map are you seeing a lot of big blue dots? So type in the chat, where are you seeing a lot of big blue dots on this map? Or you can put your hand up too if you want to answer there. Ooh, Miles and Elizabeth say around Asia. Tanay says Southeast Asia. Yeah, so there's a lot in this area here that's happening. But Southeast Asia is not to blame for all of our plastic waste, because even though Canada and the US here, we see that it's really low in plastic pollutants that are entering the ocean from here. But what if I told you that we are contributing plastic that ends up being disposed of here? Why do you think that's the case? Why do you think we in Canada over here are contributing to all this plastic that's ending up in our oceans in Asia? Any thoughts on that? This is kind of more complicated, but can you think of why that might be? Why is Canada also to blame for all of this plastic trash that's coming there? Well, we are sending our trash to Asian countries. Did you know that? All right, do give me a shocked face if you didn't know that. Whoa. Yeah, shocked face. Yeah, so if you didn't know that, we are sending a lot of our things that we think, hey, we want this plastic waste, we want it to be recycled somewhere else. We ship it in boats and it goes to Asia. And what we know, what we've been learning is that a lot of these places are not disposing of the plastic properly, or in the recycling process, there's a lot of extra waste that goes, and then those end up in the rivers along here, or it ends up being burnt. They'll burn the plastic, and that contributes to air pollution, to greenhouse gas emissions, and then a lot of it ends up in our oceans. So even though we see this is where the ocean plastics are going, we are also to blame here. And not just us in Canada, Australia does the same thing. They ship their waste there, and the US also ships their waste here. Yeah, plastic travels, and says. All right, so quiz question. This was from the video. How many million tons of plastic are dumped into the ocean every year? Do you remember what number it was? Was it 500,000 tons, 2, 5, or 8 million tons of plastic that are dumped into our ocean every year? 5 seconds, get your answers in. Oop. Oh, nice. Way to get those last minute ones in. Nice, yes, 8 million tons. So that's 8 billion kilograms of plastic getting dumped into our ocean every year. So people always ask me, like, why can't we just go and clean up all the plastic in the ocean and then it's no longer a problem? Well, there is way too much plastic in the ocean, and we're constantly dumping more. It's the equivalent of one garbage truck of plastic every single minute going into our oceans. So it's really just impossible. It's a really, not impossible, sorry. It's a really difficult cleanup, a really big challenge. It costs a lot of money to try to clean, it costs a lot of energy. So one of the solutions is really to say, hey, let's stop putting extra plastic into the ocean. Let's stop using so much plastic and disposing of so much plastic so that we can deal with removing what's currently in there without all of this extra coming in. So around the world, there are these big rotating gyres of plastic. So we say oceans, but really it's all just one ocean. So no matter where you are, the oceans are all connected to each other. So even plastic in this area can travel down to this area. And the largest garbage gyre is in the Pacific here. So this is the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, and it is 3 times the size of France. So way too big for us to be able to just go and in one go remove it all. It takes many, many trips for us to just start even addressing that challenge. All right, true or false question. All plastic pollution is big enough to see. Is that true or is that false? So true, yes, I can see all plastic pollution, or false, some plastic pollution is so tiny that I need a microscope to see it. And type in the chat the name of tiny pieces of plastic if you know it. Yeah, so it's false. What is nice, Jamie, false. So what is the name for tiny pieces of plastic? Type it in the chat if you know the answer. It's coming up next. So some plastic pollution is so small that you can't see it. And the reason is because larger pieces of plastic, they don't decompose back into soil. It's not like an apple that's going to, if you put it in the compost, then it decomposes and then it becomes soil again. Nutrients then can go into putting plants in. But this is called microplastics, these tiny pieces of plastics from larger pieces that break down, or you can see this little piece of microfiber over here. Any thoughts on where microfibers come from? Something you're wearing right now. What are you wearing right now that might contain microfiber plastic? Ooh, Rebecca says laundry. Batu, what's your answer?
Clothes.
Yeah, and Em said that too, polyester. So I want you now to take a look at the side of your clothes, and you might find a little tag, or if you need to take off a sweater and you can look at the tag sometimes the tag is on the back here. It'll tell you instructions of how to wash it. Skip over that. Back to maybe go and grab like another piece of clothing from the closet. And then tell me what material your clothes is made of. So in the chat, or if you want, you can unmute yourself. You'll see a little percentage sign and a number, and then it tells you the name of the material next to it. So take a look and you can learn. That's how you look at what material your clothes are made of. And if you have a sibling next to you, then maybe you can each look at each other's tag and share that. All right, so type it in the chat or unmute yourself if you know what that is. Ooh, Angus has 100% cotton. Cool. What else do you have, everyone? Oh, I've got some elastane in mine. I'll write elastane in the chat. Anyone else? Ooh, another 100% cotton. Does anyone have any different types of materials? Ooh, I also have some, there's one with acrylic. Ooh, we got some polyester and spandex. All righty. So now you've had a chance to look. You can still be looking, but I want you to tell me. So get ready in the chat to answer. And if you have your video on, then you can do this with me. I'm going to say the name of one of these, and I want you to wiggle your fingers if it's a natural fabric, or put your hands on your head if it's man-made. All right, cotton. Is it natural or man-made in its origins? Natural or man-made for cotton? Natural. Ooh, lots of naturals. Yeah, cotton is natural. It comes from a plant. So it's a little bush that grows, and then they have these little cotton balls that they then pick. They stretch it out and they make the fiber, and that's how they make the clothes out of it. Cool, yeah, cotton is natural. So that means that my shirt here is and for you, those of you who have 100% cotton shirts, that means that when you are completely done with it, it's completely old, ripped up, it can't go to the Salvation Army to be used as a secondhand clothes, then you could put it in the compost, or even if you were to put it in the trash or get rid of it that way, at least you know it's going to decompose and then it becomes soil again. All right, polyester, everyone, natural or man-made? Polyester, natural or man-made? Ooh, see lots of man-mades, yeah. Polyester is man-made, everyone. But actually, it's another word for plastic. So polyester is made of plastic. And someone mentioned laundry earlier. When you do the laundry, when you put your clothes in the wash and they're made of polyester, like this, what I have here, this has polyester in it. When I wash that, little pieces of microplastic fibers get washed out into the water, and that doesn't get removed in water treatment, which means it's going to end up in the river, flow down and end up in the ocean. So we're all contributing to microplastic pollution when we wash our clothes that are made of polyester. So what's another natural fabric other than cotton that we can go with if we want to buy some clothes that we know are not going to contribute to microplastic pollution? We can get cotton clothes. What else, Emily?
Wool.
Yeah, wool. So wool is made from the sheep. And what's great with wool is that it wicks out moisture. And so it's another good type of material to wear when you want to for your sports clothes instead. Okay, thanks for sharing, everyone. All right, so that's microplastics, and we know that's an issue too. All right, so of these things, which does not contribute to microplastic pollution? Exfoliants with microbeads, driving a car, washing your clothes, or burning a candle. So of these not, so which of these does not contribute to microplastic pollution? Another 10 seconds to figure out your answer to this one. And you can see here, this is all different types of tiny little pieces of microplastics that you can find. 2 more seconds. Ooh. Oh, a lot of people think driving a car. That's the one that you tend to mistake with. So microbeads, exfoliants are, it's like a type of product that exfoliates your skin and has little beads in it that can be made of microplastics. But luckily, microplastic beads were banned in Canada because the problem is that you use them in the shower or while you're washing your face, and then they were ending up in the water, which means that they're ending up directly in the ocean. So they ended up banning those. So yay, Canada, ban microbeads. Washing your clothes, we learned that that contributes because of the little microfibers if you have polyester or elastane or nylon in your clothes. But driving a car, that one's harder. What are your thoughts? Why does driving a car contribute to microplastic pollution? Well, what are the tires made of, everyone? What are tires in the car made of? Any thoughts on that? Yeah, rubber. They are made of rubber. Leslie Roberts, did you want to unmute yourself and answer?
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, so it's made of plastic too. So not only is it made of rubber, but there's also plastic, which means when you're driving, the tires, they rub against the road. And that's why you have to change your tires every few years because they get threaded. And all those little pieces, after it rubs and removes little pieces of rubber, they're also little pieces of plastic that are on the road. And they're going to end up going down the storm drain. And as we learned, storm drains are going directly into a creek, which means those little pieces of microplastics are going to end up in our ocean. So that's how driving a car also contributes. But burning a candle? No. If your candle was made of plastic, that would be really bad for your health. Burning plastic and smelling that is not good. So luckily, candles are made of wax. That's not plastic. Ooh, nice. Angus and Roy, way to go with your answer streak of 3 correct in a row. And Izzy at the top over there. All right, next one, true or false again. Plastic pollution is one of the biggest threats to marine life. Is that true, everyone? Or is it false? And think about what we're doing here today. Why would I be? Yes, nice. Let's give a round of applause to everyone. We have one where 100% got this correct. Nice. So yes, plastic pollution is one of the biggest threats to marine life. So I want you to take a look at this picture over here and think about what are reasons why plastics are harmful for marine animals. So you can again type it in the chat or you can unmute yourself to share. Take a look at this picture. What's happening to these marine animals here? And so what are some things that plastic can do to marine animals? Any thoughts on any hands up? Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I can't see your name right now. You put your hand up and I asked to unmute yourself. Oh, okay. Are you able to unmute yourself? Sorry, I can, oh, it's Jamie. Jamie, are you able to unmute yourself?
Sorry, I was stuck in the chat for a second.
No worries, go ahead.
It could destroy their habitats, and also they could eat it, and that wouldn't be good for them, so they get sick, and they could die from it.
Yeah, so unfortunately, that is one of the risks with plastics in our oceans. So thanks for sharing. And M says here, plastic nets. So yeah, as Jamie was saying, turtles can lots of sea animals can be ingesting plastic. And what happens is when if an animal eats plastic, like a big plastic piece, then it can get stuck in their bellies. And because they can't digest it, it's not food, they're not getting any nutrients for it. It can prevent them from being able to eat more food. And so they could just not get enough food after that because their bellies are so filled with plastic. And then in the chat was mentioned too, this because animals can get tangled in it. So this is called entanglement. Can everyone say entanglement?
Entanglement.
Nice, entanglement. So that is a technical term for what happens to marine animals. And that can happen because of ropes that get stuck around them. You might have seen people with the 6-pack rings that they pop, they cut them. And the reason they do that is because they've seen sea turtles or seabirds with those rings around their necks. And so cutting those things is just making sure that they're not getting trapped, not getting entangled. Tanae, did you want to add something to all of that?
Well,
no, are you good?
A paper bag in the ocean would look a whole lot like leatherback's favorite food, the box jellyfish. So when a leatherback or loggerhead ends up eating the paper bag, they can die.
So a plastic bag, paper bags, they disintegrate when they get in water. Paper disintegrates, so and it becomes soil again, it decomposes. But plastic bags for sure, and that's what you see here. Balloons and plastic bags can get ingested by sea turtles that eat jellyfish because it's mistaking this balloon here or a bag for a jellyfish. And you can also get animals eating tiny pieces of microplastics that can build up, and there could be some toxic chemicals in there that harm them too. All right, so quiz time, and you can select multiple of these. So what marine animal do gelatinivores eat? So if you're a gelatinivore, you eat something that's gelatinous. What do you eat then? What's gelatinous? Whales, algae, jellyfish, fish. I'm not sure why it said multi-select. But check it out. What animal do gelatinivores eat? The answer's up here. Yeah, so it's jellyfish. So gelatinivores, that's what Tanae mentioned, leatherback sea turtles. Leatherback sea turtles, and we can get them up here in BC also. They're one of the only sea turtles that's adapted to cold water. So we can find them up in BC. And they eat jellyfish. And because jellyfish kind of looks like plastic bags, then they're also eating lots of bits of plastic pieces. So I've got here, what do I have in here? I've got some little pieces of plastic bags, but they kind of look like jellyfish, right?
I was about to say jellyfish. That's how much.
Yeah.
That's how similar they look.
I know. So they kind of look like jellyfish. And in the water, there's the ocean currents. It's dark underwater. And with the ocean currents, the jellyfish kind of just move like that. And that's what plastic bags move like too. But it's not just the way they look. Recent research has also found that plastic that's been in the ocean for a long time, it has algae growing on it. And as the algae dies, it releases a compound called dimethyl sulfate, which smells exactly like the food of sea turtles and of seabirds. So when they're eating it, they're thinking, this looks like my food, it smells like my food, it kind of tastes like my food, I'm gonna eat this and this is delicious. But then afterwards, that's when the problems arise because they're eating so much of it, because there's less of their food around, more of the plastic around, and that's when they can get really sick. And as we saw, animals can also get entangled. So there's nets that are floating in the ocean, previously from fishing boats that weren't able to pull up the net, they had to cut it off, or pieces of rope that they might have dropped, or pieces of plastic that are around, and they can get entangled around the body of an animal. So nets that are just floating around, the term for that is ghost nets or ghost gear. And the reason that sea animals, they're adapted for living in the water. So they're not adapted, they don't have the ability like us, if something was around our neck, we could just grab it, we could cut it off, we could remove it. They're adapted for swimming, so they don't have the ability to go and grab something and take it off their body as easily as we can. And that's why they need human help in that situation. We cause the problem, and it's up to us to also help solve this problem. Okay, so true or false? Plastic in the pollution in the ocean can also affect human health. Is that true or false? All right. Once we have, yeah, nice. So it can also affect human health. We saw that in the video. And the reason is that what goes into the ocean comes back to us. So we are also eating tiny bits of plastic, but it's not just from things that are in the ocean, but also around us. And I don't want you to get worried about this. This is not really a problem now. It's more going to be a problem in the future. So in the future, there's going to be, by 2050, they predict that there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish. And that's going to be a huge problem for human health, because we're going to be eating more and more plastics. And at the level it's at right now is so low that it's not really being harmful. But later it could be much higher, which means that we're not able to eat all the delicious seafood from the ocean, all the delicious fish. And so if we want to help protect our economy and help protect our health, then that's another reason we want to be avoiding plastics. All right. So you know what, I think we only have 10 minutes left. So this is going to be our last little question on this before I come and show you a few things. So from here, these are, I'm asking you to order these 4 R's from what you think you should do first to last. So you know the 3 R's. And then there's another one called refuse over here. Where do you think that should go? Do you think that should come first or last? So put here on the left the things that should come first, and then put them all in order. And then once you're done with that order, there, I think you click on the Kahoot symbol at the bottom to submit your order. All right, let's see if you have been able to answer that. Oh, Jamie says they're vegetarians, so they don't eat fish. Nice, that's another way you can help like protect the ocean too, is because we have been overfishing some parts of the ocean. Ooh, we only have 15% of us that got this right. I was just saying, yeah, if you do eat fish, you can eat sustainably caught seafood. So sustainable seafood is a way to be helping the ocean. But if you're able to eat, more of a vegetarian diet, then that can also be very helpful for our environment. So you know the reduce, reuse, recycle. Well, refuse is a thing that should come first. So why should refuse come first? Because refusing means saying no to something. So if I say I'm going to reduce my use of plastic straws, that just means that I'm not going to use as many of them as I did before. But if I say I'm going to refuse plastic straws, that means every time I could potentially be getting a plastic straw, I say no. So I tell people, please, no plastic straw. I have my own straw. I don't need to use this. And so that makes sure that you're, from the get-go, that you're not creating that waste. So what can we do? What are ways that we can live with less plastic? So anyone want to share with me what's something you do at home to live with less plastic? And I'm going to show you some of my answers. Emily, go ahead.
My mom buys these metal straws instead of the plastic ones.
Beautiful. I love it. Yeah, so metal straws are great. And if you make sure that you just have one and that's the one you use, and then you're not using any plastic, fantastic. Anyone else want to share? Kurt Williams says you get your groceries in a box rather than in plastic bags. Nice. What about Leslie Roberts? Go ahead.
So what happens?
We get our milk in glass containers.
Nice. So that's part of the circular economy, because those glass containers that you then use, you bring them back to the grocery store, and then they'll wash it and they'll fill it up with milk again, and then they'll sell it again. So circular economy, because it keeps being used and used and used without creating waste. It's not going to the landfill after that. Love it. Jamie says you use paper grocery bags, reuse objects, a reusable water bottle. Nice. So that's something I have over here. Who else uses a reusable water bottle? Wave your arms in the air. Oh, nice. That's everyone. Love it. Yeah. So you might not think about it when you're using a reusable water bottle. You're saying, I didn't think I was protecting the ocean. Well, you are. So give yourselves a pat on the back. Give each other a high five. High five, everyone. Nice. So you might not be thinking about it, but those are ways that you're already reducing your plastic waste. Back in the day when I was a kid growing up, lots of people bought plastic water bottles every single day and then threw them away every single day. So that was so much plastic being thrown away. But now you can refill it and then use it over and over. So even though this is made of plastic, it's not a single-use plastic. I'm using it many, many times. It's going to have, I'm hoping this is going to stay with me for the rest of my life, and maybe I can even give it to my kids in the future. So it never has to end up going into the landfill. Anyone else want to share something that they do? No bags in lunch, Angus says. Yeah, so when you pack your lunch for school, you can think, well, what do I have in my lunch bag that is made of plastic? Am I having little gummies? Do I have a little chip bag? What can I eat instead? Could I pack another fruit that doesn't come in any packaging? Could I make my own cookies and granola bars so I don't have to buy anything? Nice. Did you want to share something else, Leslie Roberts? Come on.
Go ahead.
We have containers that we use for lunch that are metal.
Metal containers, yeah, those are awesome. So those are really great. Ooh, and Emily's showing us a little metal container there too. Love it. All right, and I'm going to show you a few things that I have that help me reduce my plastic waste. All right, so this is one of the things that I bring to the grocery store, and it's not my grocery bag, it's something else. What do you think I put in here? All right, Batu, go ahead.
Your supply, some of your supplied like water bottles and stuff.
Ooh, it could be, but that's not what I use it for. Luella?
Produce.
Yeah, this is a produce bag. So fruit, veggies. My biggest pet peeve is when I see someone take a plastic bag, they put 2 apples in there, Then they go to the checkout container, they put that into another plastic bag, and then they go home and they throw away the plastic bags straight away. So you're using a plastic bag just to make your way home. But instead, you can have a produce bag. Anyone here have one of these at home? Wave your arms in the air. Ooh, I love it. Lots of eco-conscious people here. And if you don't, then maybe that's a present that you can get for your families because it's something that's really practical to have. All right, let's see what else I have. Okay, what do you think this is? You can unmute yourself and just yell it out.
Shampoo.
Yeah, so it could be a soap bar. So if you have soap that's in solid form, then it's not, and then I bought this just like this. So it didn't come with any plastic packaging. So this one is from Lush, but there's lots of package-free grocery stores that you can get. Yeah, Luella, you want to share?
My mom actually made her own soap before.
Ooh, love it. So you can look up a soap recipe. That would be so much fun to do as a home activity, is to make your own soap. Thanks for the suggestion, Luella. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, especially over winter break when you got lots of time, and make it as presents for lots of other people. Then you can help them also live plastic free. So this one's a shampoo bar. What I love about shampoo bars is when you buy a shampoo bottle, it comes in a whole thing of plastic. And even though you use it many times, it's still single use because once the bottle is empty, you're throwing that away or recycling it. But and then it has that much solid stuff in it, and the rest of it is water, because it's something like this that's been mixed with water to make it into like a big liquid, which means that you're also packaging a whole bunch of water, and that's coming from far away. And so it also has a lot of greenhouse gas emissions because of that. So yeah, who here wants to try shampoo bars if they haven't yet? Wiggle your fingers if you want to try it out. Ooh, yeah, you go and check out your closest eco-friendly store before and see if they have this available to them. All right, let's see what else I have here. What's this? You can unmute yourself and yell it out.
Cardboard?
Reusable cutlery.
Yeah, reusable cutlery. So I usually just carry chopsticks around with me, and I carry around a container that's collapsible. Whenever I get food that I'm on the go and I want to get food, then I know at least I don't have to get any plastic cutlery, because oftentimes nowadays, especially, they're giving you plastic cutlery, but instead you can just say, no thanks, I've got my own, I'm good to go. So you can just carry this around with you all the time. All right. Again, you can yell it out. What's this?
Brush.
A wooden toothbrush. Wooden toothbrush.
A wooden toothbrush.
So this the pole here, the handle is made of bamboo, so it's a bamboo toothbrush. So this part here is still made of plastic. That's nylon, but I need that for my gum health. But at least this whole handle, when I throw this away, that's going to be able to compost. And then this is the only waste I'm creating. Yeah, Luella?
We use reusable yogurt containers. So they take the yogurt containers and then make the handles out of the reusable yogurt containers. And we also get them too.
Nice. Wow. Luella, it sounds like your family needs to be writing some blogs and teaching us all how to do these things. That sounds really fantastic way of making your own. And last thing, I'm just going to quickly show you because we're just at time right now. This is a beeswax wrap. Nice. Did you know that? And when you, instead of using saran wrap on your bowl, you can use this, and you can use it many times, and it's sticky. Because it's made of beeswax wrap, it smells like honey. Do you want to have a smell? I don't think you can smell it through there though. Well, try to find them in the store and give them a sniff. They smell so good. I love them. All right, everyone. So it's 12 o'clock, so I realize we need to head off now. But I do have a few slides left on the Kahoot. So if you did want to stay, or if we're allowed to stay for a little bit longer, we can finish that off. Is that okay? Yeah, Luella and Molly?
I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
If I can ask it.
Yeah, go ahead.
When you see like foam in rivers are in the ocean. What is that?
So there's like plankton. When they die, I think that they release something into the water, some sort of like protein, and the friction of like the waves makes it foam up. Kind of, you know how when you egg whites, when you whisk them, they become foamy. And I think it's like that's because egg whites have protein in there. I think it's the same as that. So it's becoming foamy because of that wave action and those dead plankton. Nice. Yeah, good question. Molly, did you? Yeah. Tanya, go ahead.
The Mosasaurus, they were a lot like sharks, and Phasphoderma, the ancient platypus or turtle with a tail, Phasphoderma, had contained many different things that were bad for the Mosasaurus.
And yeah, so those are some of the prehistoric marine animals that we have, right?
And the Plesiosaurus.
Cool. Yeah, I don't know much about prehistoric animals, so thank you so much for teaching us today. Anyone have any questions before we head off? And then Rebecca was saying that I do have a few slides left on the Kahoot that I can finish off if anyone wants to stay a little bit longer. Is that all right, or should we end now?
Well, I think it's a great opportunity for us to just thank you. Can we do a thumbs up if we learned something from Paloma this morning? And can we give her a big round of applause? Right?
Thanks, everyone. It's so nice getting to chat with you this morning, or
yeah,
depending on where you are.
And feel free to check out our website at naturekidsbc.ca. It's very generous of Paloma to offer her time to stay on with us for a few minutes. So by all means, oh, I love the hat. Thanks, Amelie. Feel free to stay on if you'd like to see the rest of some slides. And otherwise, we wish you a happy day and get some fresh air in the afternoon. Okay, Paloma, all yours.
Thank you. So I just wanted to finish off quickly. I'll skip this little poll question. This was just talking about some items that you're ready to refuse. So think about what you can do. Refusing straws, plastic bags, plastic takeout containers, but luckily Canada is banning plastic bags next year. And this was just to finish off with, a lot of you are already bringing your own containers. Fantastic, that's really great to hear. But think about if you do have anything in your lunch that does contain plastic, like I mentioned, those little plastic bags of gummies. And is there something that you can make yourself to replace them? And you're all quite young right now, and you're at this great age to start learning about how to repair things. So you can be part of the culture of repair by learning how to sew, learning how to repair electronics, learning how to repair your bike, to make sure that it's not just about repairing things when they're broken, but learning how to take care of things so they last a really long time. The culture that we have right now, it's called the throwaway culture, because people are just, it's so easy to buy new things that we think it's so easy to throw things away, and we don't think about where they go. But we know now that they're going to places that where it could be harmful, and even just creating those items costs a lot of energy, which is contributing to climate change. So if we are able to take really good care of our things and learn how to repair them when they have a hole or just need a part changed, then we can make sure we're giving a really long life to all the things we have. So I'll go through these poll questions, which asks, what would you commit to doing to reduce plastic pollution? Do you want to raise awareness, refuse and reduce plastic use, support nonprofits that reduce plastic, or participate in the neighborhood or beach cleanup? And I think it's multi-select, so you can pick many of these if they're all things you're interested in. Think about, what are you most interested in doing? These are all actions that you can take to help more people learn about plastic pollution. And while we're still here, by the way, you can add any questions in the chat and we can go through them at the end too, if we have some time. Oh, nice. So a lot of us are ready to feel like they want to refuse and reduce plastic use. Some of us are interested in neighborhood cleanup. That's something you can do. You can take your family right now. You can get just like a little trash can or like a little bowl, a bucket that you carry with you, get some tongs, and you can go and pick up all of the things that you find and then throw them in the trash to make sure they're not going to end up in our ocean. Right? And raising awareness, that's just about sharing with others what you've learned today. let your family know and share it, especially if you're going to be having a Zoom call or some sort of video call with other people. Share what you've learned. And one other thing I'd like to ask you to do is, oh, ignore the UBC camps there, is make a pledge. So this means that you are going to say, I pledge to, and then put in there a promise that you make of something that you want to change to help address the plastic pollution problem. So this could be something as simple as, I pledge to try to get my next toothbrush as being a bamboo toothbrush, or trying out shampoo bars, or to stop littering if you know that that's something that you've done before. And if anyone's interested in learning more about our oceans, if you really love marine animals, we have a class called Ocean Defender, and you can sign up on SeaSmartSchool.com. And it's a self-led class, lots of videos, like I filmed videos of myself teaching, lots of YouTube videos, lots of activities where we tell you can do things at home. And it's all to learn about these cool ocean animals. So we learn about sea stars, sea turtles, killer whales, and octopuses. And we also, the same workshops that I'm doing with you right now, we do them with schools. So if you want to bring us into your school, let your teacher know about what we do, and they can come and bring us up in to teach about more about ocean pollution, about animals, about sea turtles, lots of cool workshops that we can come and deliver. And if you want to know anything more about SeaSmart, just check out our website, or you can send us an email. Alrighty, so that's everything, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Do we have any other questions before we head off? Thanks for staying for an extra 10 minutes, everyone. And it looks like we don't have any questions left. So I'll just say a really big thank you and goodbye. And Tanae, if you did have any questions, I will put my SeaSmart email in here. So you can email me any questions you have about marine animals too. So that's my SeaSmart email over there. You can share that with your parents.
Thanks so much for a great morning, Paloma.
Yeah, thank you all. It's nice to see you. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Bye. Take care.